I think the Arvada Center has been for 50 years since its inception an important part of the cultural fabric of the area for performing arts, education, and visual artists. So the Arvada Center gives the opportunity for the talent of the region and beyond for our patrons near and far to experience the amazing art that we produce.
It was really driven by the populace. It was not started in the city government.
One of the things I love about the upper gallery, which has always been kind of contentious because it's hard to get climate control there, it's hard to protect the artwork up there. But what I love about it is that it allows our students, forces our students to walk through a gallery space to get to their studio. So they are immersed, whether it's conscious or unconscious, they're immersed in visual arts on their way to where they're going. And I just feel like that has to influence what comes out of our studios. So whether kiddos are coming in to see theater for young audiences or coming in to go to their camp, they're walking through a space, and it's so cool to watch a large group of kids come in, walk in, and they may have never been in a museum or a gallery in their lives, go, wow, look at that. It's just, it brings chills to my spine because it's so amazing that we have an opportunity to be immersed in the arts.
Maybe an example of what happens at the Arvada Center. For years and years, the center has been showing the Jeffco art students, which, some people say, well, great, but, they're just from the young artists there. Then Colin instituted having teachers, Jeffco teachers up in the upper gallery. So that's that relation. You can see that kind of line going from the students. And some of the students are remarkable artists too and still continue. So the Arvada Center was kind of like a good breeding point for that, then moving to the teachers, and then other artists that are related somehow to the Jeffco system. That happens during that time of the Jeffco high school exhibitions.
Just recently, we came up with the tagline, Home of Colorado Artists, but I think it's something the Arvada Center has been doing since its inception in 1976. We've had amazing national artists and international artists, but I think as a regional art center, we have some, our goal is to show some of the best artists of the state and region as their careers blossom.
A great example is the exhibition we did on culture embroidery, which is this specific kind of fiber art and embroidery that comes from Southern Colorado. So it's like this art form only here in our state, and that takes on this narrative where women stitch the stories of their community in embroidery, and almost like this little illustrative picture of what's happening in the stories of their families and the maps of their towns, but all done in embroidery. And brought all the women up from Southern Colorado to attend, and they got to share their stories and share their art with each other.
One that started during my tenure was Art of the State. We didn't really expect to be that big. We just kind of put it out there, and it was huge.
That features over 100 artists from established to emerging, and it's a big call for entry, 2,500 submissions, but it's a great way for established artists and emerging artists to exhibit together.
I think kind of the most obvious one is the sculpture field out that everyone sees on their way in. That was a beast, but it was fun. But I think one of the great things about the Arvada Center is the artists that exhibit here are most of the time, they're very much, roll up their own sleeves and help. I think one of the coolest things about that one was we would have this schedule of installs, but then, the first artist of the day would just stay and help. Because they were like, this is so cool, like I'll just stick around, like I've got, and plus they all mostly knew each other, so they were buddies. So it just turned into this big kind of community install, which I think was cool and kind of embodies what I feel like the Arvada Center has been for a long time.
If you're an artist in Colorado who's being talked about, you're going to show at the Arvada Center at one time or another.
We had a great reputation because of all of the array of things that we could bring to the community, from Colorado artists to regional artists to national artists to international artists. Then that gave us prestige. And by association, all of the Colorado artists got to share in that prestige.
We had a couple of exhibits based on the collections of a family named Harmson. They were the people who owned the Jolly Rancher Candy Company. Very wealthy. And they had an absolutely stupendous collection of Navajo rugs. That one went on to become a Smithsonian traveling exhibit.
The dirt wall actually started when the Arvada Center had a major renovation in 1992. As part of the renovation, Ann Sorensen was the gallery director at the time, and she had the vision of including public art into the new building. And she did a national call, and from that call, Vito Acconci, a New York artist, got the commission to do this beautiful dirt wall.
Can't believe, beyond anything I would have dreamed, that we would get a Vito Acconci in Arvada.
Arvada used to be a place where there were a lot of farms and farmers. That's what the history of Arvada is all about. They actually wanted to take that history and bring it into a building of art. So that was one concept behind the dirt wall. The second concept was that when you build a building, you take dirt away and you get rid of it. So you wanted to bring back that sort of the grounding of what a building is back into the architecture of the building itself.
But to find out that he wanted to do the layers and striations of what he sees out in our mountains, and people were going like, dirt? We're going to pay $50,000 or $80,000 for dirt? And we're like, no, it's not for dirt, it's for Vito. So that's what he created. But oh my God, people were hysterical. There was articles, and we actually tried to accept it. We had a phone line where people could call and express themselves. We had some great calls. They were just quite horrified that we were going to pay all this money to have dirt brought in. But once it was all together and we got it up, people loved it.
I had a great belief in the artists and the power of art, the power of beauty, the power of controversy. And I really wanted to challenge people in the Arvada community to learn about what was happening in art.
Artists had trust in us. They came to us knowing that whatever they wanted to do, we will be there to assist them as much as possible to achieve their vision. I love how experimental the gallery program has been and continues to be. I did this wonderful exhibit on rejected public art. I called it I Regret to Inform You. I thought that was a really interesting exhibit on the process of public art calls and how rejection is inherently part of the process. Exhibits like that I've put on, I'm proud of, but looking back at the archive over 50 years, this isn't about Colin as a curator, this is about the Arvada Center over 50 years has continued to push our exhibitions and what art can be and the scale and the quality of art. So I give a lot of props to the past curators on that.
Everyone's goal was to make arts accessible and get people to finally understand what art does in their lives.
I mean, I think the Arvada Center gave me my community, It's really rare to find a place like that, and a place that just welcomes you with open arms exactly as you are, especially in the art world. It can be a place that's really cold and that's really pretentious. And I think that the Arvada Center is a place that anyone can walk in knowing whatever you know, and they'll find a place for you to be here. And not just be, but to belong, and find a place that you get to serve this place and your community with whatever skills that you have. And that's so unique and so special.